You have to have confidence-building measures. You have to be able to reestablish trust, and then you have to start talks about laying down weapons. But it's politics up front. And in the meantime, there's a lot of people going to get hurt in Iraq, unfortunately.
General, I want your take on this video coming from CNN. A congressman now asking the Pentagon to remove embedded CNN reporters after the network showing snipers targeting U.S. troops. And the CNN now saying, well, they got this from an insurgent leader, and they showed it because they want to show the real. In fact, the quote is, they want to show what the truth is about this war. What's your take on that?
Well, I'm reluctant to have the government tell the media what it can and can't show. You remember that we were very proud of the fact that we embedded media with the United States Armed Forces when they went in. And there were pictures on that media of Iraqis who had died and were dying. This is a really tough call. The network needs to make it. Public opinion needs to be heard on this. But it's a dangerous thing.
What do you say to the family, though, General?
What they can't show.
What do you say to the family of that soldier? We have Congressman Bill Bray now saying that this is the publicist for the enemy. They're saying this is nothing more than a terrorist snuff film. I know CNN kind of, they fancy themselves this worldwide news organization and that they're trying to be unbiased, but the bottom line is they're still based in America. It's an American news agency, just like this news channel is, and they're showing that type of footage, and it seems to me the family of those soldiers, the people in Iraq that we send over there, it seems it's just not fair to them, General.
Well, I think it's a really difficult situation in Iraq. I guess what I'd say to the families of the soldiers is, if I were one of the Republican congressmen, I'd be asking our president to come up with a strategy that can win and succeed in Iraq. The strategy that we've got, apparently it doesn't work. We're not quite sure what the strategy is. It's never really been explained. But what we know is we're in a sort of worsening spiral. And the real problem is not what's shown on television, it's what the reality is. It's the fact that that soldier did, in fact, die. And he died serving our country, doing something our government asked him to do. And we have to ask every one of us as Americans, is this what we want our young men and women dying for? And if it isn't, then what's the alternative? Okay. What are the strategies? How are we going to change this course? The President and the Republican leadership owe that explanation to the American people. I think it's a bit of a distraction to go after CNN, to be honest with you. I share the family's pain, but I really think that the questions have to be directed to our government's leaders. They're the ones that put us in this position.
Noted. General Wesley Clark, General, thank you very much.
The publicist for an enemy propaganda film. Those exact words coming from House Armed Services Chairman Duncan Hunter for a CNN broadcast that showed video of an enemy sniper in Iraq apparently killing an American soldier. Outraged, Chairman Hunter and other congressional Republicans then sent a letter to Defense Secretary Donald Rumsfeld asking for the removal of all CNN crews embedded with U.S. troops. House Armed Services Chairman Duncan Hunter joins us now on the phone. And thank you so much for talking to us on a Saturday afternoon. First of all, I just say, and I take these words out of your mouth, that you say that you'd like to think that Americans are all in this together. So are you saying that CNN is only looking out for themselves?
Well, CNN obviously doesn't feel that they're part of what I would call the American effort, the American cause. To be embedded with our troops, with our Marines and soldiers, is a privilege. And it means that you're not simply an international observer who is looking at this contest between good and evil, the United States and the enemy, as some kind of a football game where they report and they observe the killings of Americans and publicize the killings of Americans as videotaped by the enemy in a situation, Julie, which provides absolutely no instruction on whether the war is a good war or a bad war or the strategies or tactics are good. Just the video of a bullet impacting an American soldier is no value added to the debate at all. It's simply a sensationalistic thing, and the idea that it was produced by the bad guys, by the enemy, obviously with an eye toward demoralizing America. And then it's publicized. It's shown to the world by CNN I think, totally unacceptable.
All right, let me ask you. I'm going to go ahead and give CNN's stance. We want to stay fair and balanced here. A CNN producer wrote in a blog on the network's website, the decision to broadcast the video came after hours of, quote, intense editorial debate. He said one compromise was made, though. We talk about this soldier who was shot being in the head. The moment when the bullet hit the soldier's head, that they cut to black. And that way that his identity wasn't shown on television. But I wonder in that same meeting if they thought of the family, perhaps the father, the mother, and they know who's being killed.
And the question, Julie, that could have easily been asked in that meeting is, what is the value of showing the impact of a bullet on a single soldier? That doesn't tell you anything about whether the war is going in the right direction or the tactics or the strategy. Mm-hmm. It only has the sensationalistic effect of watching somebody die, and it's done obviously to have a demoralizing effect on the Americans. I'm sure that's why the terrorists shipped that to CNN to publicize for them. So being an embedded news entity with American Marines and soldiers is a privilege. It's not a right.
And we certainly do not want to take it for granted.
You can't be on both sides.
Okay, thank you so much, Duncan Hunter, on the phone with us. Joining us now to discuss this event even further is Fox News contributor Marvin Cal. He is senior fellow at the Shorenstein Center on the Press, Politics, and Public Policy for the Kennedy School Washington programs. All right, thank you so much, Marvin. First, let me just go and ahead and ask you, was this journalistic integrity, or was this just pure sensationalism? Then I'll take a call.
I don't really think that's the question. The question is whether CNN, one, had the right to do this. Answer, yes. Were they right to do it? That's the second question. And in my judgment, the answer again is yes. In this past week, more Americans have been killed, a number of them in this exact way, than at any other time since the beginning of the war in March of 2003. The American people have an absolute right to know how their people are being killed day after day in a war that seems without end.
Okay, let's go to our call. Neil from Washington. Hi, Neil. How do you feel about this?
I absolutely agree with CNN's decision to do this. I think as American citizens, we're paying $2 billion a week on this war. We're told to support this war. We're told to support these troops. And we have a right to see exactly what the consequences of this war are.
All right. Well, then that's good. Fair and balanced right there. So the Americans obviously do need to know what's going on, Marvin. And certainly as a news organization, it is our duty to report the truth, to get the story out there. But at what point do we go too far, Marvin?
Well, it could be argued, as you are arguing or suggesting very strongly, that CNN did something wrong. I am trying to argue that this is an extremely difficult war to cover. It is rare that we get an absolute glimpse of the reality of this war. American reporters are often afraid to go out because so many of them have been killed up to this point. American soldiers are being killed at an alarming rate, and the American people, once again, these are their sons and daughters. They have a right, an absolute right, to know the way in which their people are being killed.
Fran from Massachusetts, how do you feel?
Hi, Julie. I agree with Representative Hunter, and let these people that agree with seeing a sniper kill their soldier, let them, I'm a little nervous, let it be their child being killed, and let them agree with CNN, and let them see how it feels to see their child being killed.
All right. Fran, thank you so much. So, Marvin, essentially, it is difficult enough for the families to of course know the numbers. In fact, this month is the deadliest in 2 years. So how do we cover this war properly and fairly then?
I think in much the same way that it is being covered up to this point. As I said, it is extremely difficult to cover this war. There are inhibitions that are natural when it is so dangerous. There are more reporters killed in this war than just about any other. The number of American troops, as you just said, the highest number in the last 2 and I think actually 3 years. So at this particular point to say, as the last caller did, let it be your son and your daughter, that's not fair. That's not right. No one wants to see this happen.
All right,
but it is the policy of the government to pursue this war. And it is the right of the American people who elected the government to try to find out whether that policy is right.
All right, Marvin Cal.